Big news has arrived for the Gunners. Want all the details? Then follow me until the end of the video. But first, if you love Arsenal, show some love. Subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications. Here, we post daily news and behind-the-scenes footage from the Premier League's biggest club. Eze'S' price skyrockets as Arsenal and Andrea Berta navigate £67 million release clause dilemma. Arsenal's pursuit of Eze'S is heating up, and so is his price tag. While the midfielder's £67.5 million release clause sets a formal benchmark, it's far from the full story. As always in football, a player's true worth comes down to one simple question: how much is a club willing to pay? What makes Eze'S so valuable isn't just the stats, the goals, assists, or electric dribbles, but the unique spark he brings to the pitch. Crystal Palace knows this better than anyone. To them, Eze'S isn't just another player. He's their talisman, their game changer. That emotional and tactical importance carries weight, and it drives the negotiation. Comparing transfer fees across the board doesn't work here, not when a player means this much to his current club. Transfers within the Premier League come with their own inflation. You're not just buying talent, you're weakening a rival. Add to that the financial muscle Premier League clubs have, and it's clear why domestic deals often come with a premium. For Arsenal, the £67.5 million clause is a reference point, not a rulebook. They've shown before that they're open to flexible payment structures if it gets the deal done. Whether it's a lower initial fee or higher performance-based add-ons, creative financing can help ease the burden of big money moves. We've seen this play out already. Just look at how Arsenal structured their deal for Martin Zubimendi. The Gunners ended up agreeing to a package nearly £9 million above his clause, but avoided a massive upfront payment. A similar approach could unlock a deal for Eze'S. Talks are ongoing, and even though his clause technically expires before the Premier League season begins in less than 2 weeks, the deadline isn't expected to derail negotiations. Internally, Arsenal have their own valuation of Eze'S. Palace, meanwhile, are reportedly looking for £35 million upfront, a demand that sets the tone for how the conversation unfolds. As likely the final marquee signing of the summer window for Arsenal, there's still time to make it work. And with past negotiations, like Eddie Nketiah's potential move last summer, there's already a working relationship between the clubs, a useful advantage. The real question now is, how far is Arsenal willing to go? What is Eze'S worth to them? And how much is he worth to Palace? The release clause may be a key milestone, but it doesn't have to be the final word. Transfermarkt values Eze'S at around £48 million, a figure that, frankly, feels conservative. His rise has been steady and impressive, from dominating the Championship with QPR, to seamlessly stepping into the Premier League spotlight. He's grown year after year, built a dynamic partnership with Michael Analyses, filled the void left by major departures, and become Palace's undisputed star. Now 27, he's an FA Cup winner, an England international, and a player still on the rise. How do you put a price on all that? Andrea Berta's challenge is to find that balance, managing not just numbers, but timing, expectations, and strategy. Creativity will be key. Convincing Palace, and Eze'S, will take more than just a big offer. It will take vision, patience, and a willingness to push boundaries. Because players like Eze'S don't come around often. And when they do, the question becomes, how badly do you want him? This situation is already sending ripples through the Premier League, and beyond. Eze'S has become one of the most talked about names in this summer window, with fans, pundits, and analysts alike recognizing the potential impact of a move to Arsenal. His addition would not only bolster Mikel Arteta's attacking options but also send a strong message: Arsenal aren't just building for now, they're building to dominate. Inside the club, Eze'S is seen as the kind of player who can unlock low blocks, thrive under pressure, and add unpredictability in tight matches, all qualities that proved costly in last season's title race. While the Gunners fell just short of toppling Manchester City, it was clear that moments of individual brilliance were sometimes missing when the margins were razor-thin. Eze'S offers exactly that. From a tactical standpoint, he fits like a glove. With the flexibility to play as a number 10, a wide forward, or left-sided midfielder, he offers Arteta the kind of versatility that allows tactical rotation without sacrificing fluidity. Pairing him with the likes of Odegaard, Saka, and Rice could elevate Arsenal's attacking structure to a new level, especially in Champions League nights when ingenuity and composure matter most. Meanwhile, Crystal Palace are standing firm. Understandably so. Losing Eze'S would be a huge blow, especially after already fending off interest in Michael Analyses, who himself remains a target for top clubs. The club is under no pressure to sell, financially secure after careful management and past high-value transfers. For them, it's not just about the money, it's about replacing the irreplaceable. Behind the scenes, Andrea Berta, newly appointed to lead Arsenal's transfer strategy, is walking a tightrope. This is his first major test in North London, and it's a high-stakes one. He must manage expectations, stay within financial parameters, and still land a player who could define Arsenal's season. Berta has a reputation for pulling off complex deals, and his ability to creatively structure this transfer, with clauses, bonuses, and staggered payments, will be put to the test. The wider market is watching, too. If Arsenal manage to sign Eze'S, it could trigger a domino effect. Clubs like Chelsea, Tottenham, and even Manchester United, all of whom have admired Eze'S in the past, may be forced to accelerate other targets. It could also reignite bidding wars elsewhere, as mid-table Premier League clubs try to shore up their squads before the August 30th deadline. From the fan perspective, excitement is building, and so is anxiety. Many supporters feel Eze'S could be the missing piece in Arteta's puzzle, the final attacking boost that turns promise into silverware. But there's also the looming fear. What if it doesn't happen? And what if Palace dig in until the very last moment? Negotiations continue, but time is ticking. With just under 2 weeks until the Premier League kicks off, and Eze'S release clause set to expire in that same window, Arsenal must act quickly, or risk losing a player who could define not just their season, but their long-term identity. One thing is clear, this is more than a transfer. It's a statement of ambition. And how it unfolds may shape the course of the 2025-26 campaign before a single ball is kicked. Rodrygo's proposal, Eze'S dilemma, Sesko'S twist, Arsenal's alternative transfer window that almost was. This summer could have looked very different for Arsenal. Behind the scenes, the club has been working through one of its most pivotal transfer windows in years, not just because of what they've done, but because of what almost happened. The road to this point began earlier than usual. After a draining second half of the 2024-25 Premier League campaign, where title hopes faded and the fight for European places became the new focus, the attention quietly shifted to summer reinforcements. While Mikel Arteta kept fans dreaming well into May with a deep Champions League run, the gears were already turning for a transfer window that promised, and demanded, results. When no January signings materialized under interim sporting director Jason Ato, the pressure mounted. The departure of Edu Gaspar added another layer of uncertainty. And in that gap, Andrea Berta stepped in, a new face with a big task, reshape a squad to compete again at the highest level. In many ways, Arsenal's summer started in late March. That's when it became clear Berta had gained the full trust of Arteta and the club's leadership. With domestic ambitions slipping away, the groundwork began for what had to be a proactive, carefully executed window. But the early stages were anything but smooth. For all the extra planning time, the first few weeks brought more frustration than fanfare. Transfers weren't getting over the line, and questions were beginning to swirl. Eventually, Berta delivered. Arsenal filled every major need, a dependable backup goalkeeper arrived, the defence was reinforced, Martin Zubimendi joined the midfield, Victor Gyökeres was signed to lead the line, and Noni Madueke brought new energy to the flanks. Now, with just weeks left in the window, Eberechi Eze'S could be the final piece. But this wasn't always the plan. Over the past 18 months, Arsenal explored multiple routes. Joan Garcia was heavily considered as a competitor to David Raya in goal. Talks were held about a blockbuster move for Rodrygo from Real Madrid. And Benjamin Eko was seriously evaluated as the club searched for a striker with long-term potential. In the end, it's Gyökeres who ticks all the boxes, experienced, physically dominant, and ready to make an immediate impact. The price tag was also more manageable than Leipzig's valuation of Eko, which became a key factor. Still, Arsenal's final shortlist was anything but simple. There were conflicting reports from Germany and Portugal, and internally, debates raged over who fit the project best. Ollie Watkins was also in the mix, but at nearly 30 and with a hefty price tag, he was deemed too expensive. Even now, it's not a stretch to imagine Arsenal could have ended up with Eko or Watkins instead of Gyökeres. The same goes for the goalkeeping department. Garcia was close. Kepa Arrizabalaga was another name floated. How this all plays out will only truly be judged in hindsight. Midfield, on the other hand, was less of a guessing game. By the end of the January window, Zubimendi had emerged as the clear priority. And in a coup that silenced even Real Madrid's interest, Berta got it done. With the departure of two key defensive midfielders last season, Arsenal moved quickly to outmaneuver Tottenham for Christian Nørgaard while also securing Zubimendi. Youngster Miles Lewis-Skelly offers depth, and there's hope Mikel Merino won't be forced to play out of position anymore, opening up more minutes in his preferred role. Even Kai Havertz, originally signed with the No. 8 role in mind, may find more freedom. On the wings, things were far less settled. Noni Madueke arrived, though he wasn't exactly the fan-favourite pick. Arsenal still lack a dominant presence on the left, and that's where Eze'S comes in. But his name wasn't the only one in the mix. Morgan Rogers, Bradley Barcola, Rafael Leo, and even Rodrygo were considered. At one point, it wasn't out of the realm of possibility that Arsenal could have pulled off a shock move for Rodrygo during Real Madrid's summer reshuffle. In the end, Eze'S stood out, and never faded from the conversation. He fits the technical and creative profile Arsenal want on that left side, and his Premier League proven. That matters. There's a quiet confidence inside the Emirates now. Arsenal have identified a core group of players, not just stars, but system-fit contributors, who can elevate both the starting 11 and the overall squad depth. If the club had chosen a different path, they might still have landed in a strong position. But it's hard to argue that this version of the window hasn't left Arteta satisfied. Because in the world of transfer windows, the signings you don't make can be just as defining as the ones you do. Still, as much as Arsenal can feel optimistic about their current business, this summer has revealed just how delicate and competitive the top-tier market has become. The Rodrygo discussions, for instance, may never have fully materialized into an official bid, but they were real. Arsenal were attentive to any signs of opportunity amid Real Madrid's internal restructuring. With Kylian Mbappé arriving at the Bernabeu and Endrick soon to follow, the idea of Rodrygo being pushed down the pecking order was more than plausible. Arteta is known to admire Rodrygo's intelligence, versatility, and Champions League pedigree, the kind of qualities that could have transformed Arsenal's wide play overnight. But Real Madrid held firm, and Rodrygo himself showed no urgency to leave. In a different timeline, though, he might already be wearing red and white. Then there's the Sesko'S situation, a twist that caught Arsenal slightly off guard. For weeks, it looked like the RB Leipzig forward was leaning toward North London. Arsenal had laid out a clear vision, a defined role, and a long-term development plan. But in the final stretch, Sesko opted to extend his contract and stay in Germany for at least another year. That move forced Arsenal to pivot quickly, and decisively, toward Sesko'S, avoiding a drawn-out saga that could have disrupted their summer plans. But even now, some fans and pundits question whether Sesko'S is the right long-term solution. Is he truly Arsenal's answer for the next 5 years? Or is he a stopgap while they continue to explore future megastar forwards? That question lingers, especially with the club being linked to future prospects like Evan Ferguson and even emerging names like Vitor Roque or Marcos Leonardo. What's clear, though, is that Arsenal weren't willing to stand still. And they couldn't afford to. With Manchester City relentless, Liverpool refreshing under new leadership, and Tottenham and Chelsea becoming more aggressive, standing pat was not an option. Every window now matters more than ever. Beyond the on-pitch implications, these transfer choices are shaping Arsenal's identity off the pitch too. They're building a squad that not only matches Arteta's tactical vision but also projects ambition, to sponsors, to commercial partners, and to supporters worldwide. Bringing in names like Zubimendi and Sesko'S, and potentially Eze'S, shows the club is no longer just aiming to compete, but to win. And win consistently. There are also major repercussions for the current squad. Eddie Nketiah, Emile Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson, all once seen as future pillars, now face uncertain roles. Their potential exits could fund future moves or open the door for youth talent. Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ethan Nwaneri are both on the verge of senior breakthroughs, but their paths depend on how crowded the first team becomes. The same goes for players like Fabio Vieira, who entered last season with high expectations but struggled for consistency. With more established names coming in, he'll either need to rise to the challenge or look elsewhere for opportunities. And then there's the final wildcard, the Eberechi-Eze'S deal. If Arsenal pull this off, and it's still very much alive, it could be the cherry on top of a bold, forward-thinking window. Eze'S brings flair, maturity, and the rare ability to shift momentum single-handedly. His chemistry with players like Degaard and Saka could be electric. But it won't be cheap, and Palace are digging in. Still, there's a quiet sense at London Coney that this could all come together. Arsenal have operated more decisively, more strategically, and with a clearer hierarchy than in previous years. The days of scattergun recruitment or last-minute panic buys feel firmly in the past. If this project is to reach its full potential, this summer might be remembered as the turning point, the moment when Arsenal stopped building towards something and started building on something. The window isn't over yet. But if the final pieces fall into place, Arsenal's quiet revolution might just become something far louder by the time the season kicks off. Mikel Arteta expected to make 3 key changes at Arsenal after £270 million transfer gamble. Arsenal may have splashed out over £203 million on 6 new signings this summer, and if Eze'S joins as expected, that figure will climb to £270 million. But despite the high-profile spending, Mikel Arteta's strongest starting 11 might look surprisingly familiar. This isn't a complete overhaul like the transformative 2022-23 window, when the arrivals of Gabriel Jesus, William Saliba, and Alexander Zinchenko reshaped Arsenal overnight. Instead, this version of the team is a more refined evolution, a continuation of the core Arteta has been building over the past few seasons. The spine of the team remains intact. Aaron Ramsdale is locked in as the number 1, and the defensive unit, anchored by Saliba and Gabriel, is settled. There may be questions around who starts at right-back if Ben White is fully fit, but there's no mystery in midfield. Martin Odegaard and Declan Rice have secured 2 of the 3 central roles. Up front, Bukayo Saka is untouchable on the right. Kai Havertz, meanwhile, has earned the manager's trust as a central forward, a surprise to some, but a success story in Arteta's tactical system. That said, Viktor Gyökeres hasn't arrived to sit on the bench. He was brought in to compete, and to win that number 9 spot. Gyökeres may not start the opener at Old Trafford, especially after limited pre-season with the team. But over the course of the season, a genuine battle is expected between him and Havertz. Don't be surprised if Havertz gets the nod on day 1, but that doesn't mean the position is settled. In fact, the only new signing almost certain to start against Manchester United is Martin Zubimendi. Brought in as a long-term replacement for Thomas Partey, Zubimendi brings a different profile, calmer on the ball, positionally disciplined, and built for high-possession games. He's expected to anchor the midfield and bring a new layer of control to Arsenal's build-up play. As for Noni Madueke, his path to the first team is a bit more complicated. He missed Arsenal's pre-season tour in Asia due to Club World Cup duties with Chelsea, and is more naturally suited to the right wing, Sesko'S territory. On paper, there's a clearer opening on the left, where Gabriel Martinelli and Leandro Trossard have rotated without either fully locking down the role. But even then, Madueke will need to adapt, or wait. That's where Eze'S could come in. If Arsenal do finalize a deal for Eze'S, he immediately becomes a contender for that left-sided attacking role, and possibly more. His ability to drift inside, carry the ball through tight spaces, and link with Odegaard makes him a perfect fit for Arteta's fluid system. In that case, we could realistically see 2 new starters emerge in the strongest 11, Zubimendi and Eze'S. And Gyökeres, if he clicks, will surely make it 3. So while the starting lineup for the season opener might resemble the Arsenal we've grown used to, don't let that fool you. The real transformation, the true depth and tactical evolution, will unfold as the season progresses. These signings weren't just made to fill gaps, they were made to raise standards. Arteta isn't just preparing for match day 1. He's building a squad that can compete on all fronts, especially with the club back in the Champions League spotlight. Gyökeres, Zubimendi, and Eze'S, if the deal is completed, are expected to carry a significant portion of that responsibility. 3 players. 1 new chapter. Arsenal's gamble may have been expensive, but it could prove to be priceless. What's becoming increasingly clear is that Arsenal are no longer just building a team, they're building a squad built to last. And in a season where margins are finer than ever, squad depth and adaptability may prove just as valuable as a starting 11. The signing of Zubimendi, for example, isn't just about replacing Partey, it's about evolving the midfield. His passing range, spatial awareness, and positional discipline allow Odegaard and Rice to operate with greater freedom. It's a strategic shift, designed for bigger games, especially in Europe, where control and tempo matter more than brute force. With Gyökeres, Arsenal now have a forward capable of pinning defenders, attacking aerial crosses, and bullying low blocks, things Havertz, despite his elegance, doesn't always bring. Arteta now has 2 completely different profiles to choose from based on the opponent. That kind of tactical flexibility is something Arsenal lacked in previous seasons, particularly when chasing games or breaking down stubborn defenses. The potential arrival of Eze'S would further underscore this new dynamic. Eze'S isn't just a winger, He's a playmaker in disguise, someone who can operate between the lines, beat a man off the dribble, and produce moments of magic. His profile gives Arteta the option of playing with dual creators, alongside Degaard, or even shifting formations mid-game without a drop in fluidity. And let's not overlook the psychological message these moves send, both inside and outside the club. To players already in the squad, the message is clear: competition is coming. Comfort zones no longer exist. Everyone, from Martinelli and Havertz to Trossard and Vieira, will have to prove themselves weekly. That breeds a healthy internal culture, one where standards are high and rotation doesn't mean compromise. To the Premier League, and especially to rivals like Manchester City, Liverpool, and Chelsea, Arsenal's business signals intent. Not just to compete for top four, but to win titles, and to do so with a team that's not reliant on one system, one striker, or one style. But this ambition comes with pressure. Spending £270 million doesn't just raise expectations, it narrows the margin for error. Arteta will need to manage minutes, egos, and momentum. Players like Emile Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson, and even Thomas Partey now find themselves at crossroads. Their roles are uncertain. Their futures? Possibly elsewhere. And there's the broader picture. Arsenal are walking a tightrope with financial fair play. While they've raised funds through minor sales and player exits, there's an understanding that at least one significant departure may be needed to balance the books. Eddie Nketiah remains a likely candidate, especially with interest from multiple Premier League clubs. Then there's the Champions League. Arsenal's return to Europe's biggest stage comes with a new level of scrutiny. Performances in the group stage, and beyond, will be seen as the litmus test for this new-look squad. Fail to progress, and questions will be asked about whether the spending translated into real progress. Succeed, and the club will prove that it's back among Europe's elite. As the season kicks off, the reality is this: Arsenal may begin with a familiar face, but they're built for something far bigger than familiarity. They're built for a title charge. For knockout football. For sustained success. 3 key changes may not seem dramatic at first glance. But sometimes, it's not about how many pieces move, it's about which ones. And if Eze'S does arrive, that number could jump to 4, and potentially shift the balance of power in English football even further toward North London.